Hello, MGTOW. Hello, man. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. I want to read an article to you that I came across. But I'm not just reading the article to read the article. I'm reading the article to compare it to another article. But it's an interesting article in and of itself. So bear with me. This is 10 Things Guys Wish Women Knew About Men. And it's from a religious website, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to be reading another article later from a female point of view, okay? And I just want you to kind of see the contrast and the juxtaposition between the two articles. So let's get going with this article. It is likely no surprise to you that God has wired women and men differently. We all recognize some of these differences, but others often hide in plain sight. Shanuti Feldharan, a nationally syndicated newspaper columnist, author, and speaker, wrote a fantastic book, For Women Only, What You Need to Know About the Inner Lives of Men. In it, she recounts the surprising truths she learned about men after interviewing more than 1,000 of them. I had the opportunity to interview Shanati for our radio broadcast, Homeward, with Jim Burns. In our discussion, we spoke about 10 things guys wish women knew about men. I think you'll find these 10 things fascinating. Even more, I believe that in understanding these issues, you'll be equipped to lead your marriage to a better place. Number 1, men would rather feel unloved than inadequate and disrespected. Husbands need to know that their wives respect them, both privately and publicly. Men thrive when they know that their wives trust them, admire them, and believe in them. Shananti Feldhan's research indicated that men would rather sense a loss of loving feelings from their wives than to be disrespected by them. I can agree with that. That's completely true. And what women maybe listening to this video need to understand is that it's not just husbands and wives, it's men and women. Men need to feel that women respect them. And they would rather be unloved than disrespected. It's an important distinction right there. Men are used to being unloved. They can, that's okay. Anyway, moving on. Number 2. A man's anger is often a response to feeling disrespected by his wife. When a husband becomes angry with his wife, he may not come out and say, "You're disrespecting me," but there's a good likelihood that he is feeling stung by something his wife has done, which he considers disrespectful and humiliating. Exactly. Okay. As I said, it's not just between husbands and wives, it's between men and women. And this is something that I've been trying to point out in my videos for a long time now, that when a short woman comes over and yells at a man and expects him to take orders, it hurts his physiology. It hurts his testosterone levels. When a big man comes over and says to a smaller woman, "This is what you need to do," because he's in charge of the situation, it doesn't hurt her physiologically. As a matter of fact, I suspect it feels quite natural to take orders from the biggest and strongest and person with the deepest voice and most experience in the room. But I could be wrong about that. Moving on, number 3. Men are insecure. Men are afraid that they aren't cutting it in life, not just at work, but at home, in their role as a husband. They may never vocalize this, but inwardly they are secretly vulnerable. The antidote? Affirmation. To men, affirmation from their wives is everything. If they don't receive this affirmation from their wives, they'll seek it elsewhere. When they receive regular and genuine affirmation from their wives, not flattery, by the way, they become much more sincere and confident in all areas of their lives. This is very true. This is even true just working in a work environment, okay? When someone does good work, tell them so. And when someone does bad work, tell them so. This is tied in to the earlier statement. This means a great deal to men, the respect of their peers and the people around them. They'll sacrifice quite a lot to get it. So this idea of insulting men and belittling men and comparing men to women and I don't mean to insult women with this, it's inappropriate. It's moving on. 4, men feel the burden of being the provider for their family. Intellectually, it doesn't matter how much or little a man makes, or whether or not his wife makes more or less money in her career. Men simply bear the emotional burden of providing for their family. It's not a burden they've chosen to bear. Men are simply wired for this burden. As such, it is never far from their minds and can result in their feelings of being trapped. While wives cannot release their husbands from this burden, they can relieve it through a healthy dose of appreciation, encouragement, and support. True again. It doesn't matter. The man, even the boy, feels the responsibility of defending the mother and the older sisters. Okay, there are certain responsibilities that men simply have. So this idea of, shaming the men because women on average make less because they work less, it's wrong. The men take this seriously. They're not in it to buy shoes and purses and clothes. They're really not. They're in it to build a nest, to build a family, and then, to develop sustainable principles. But most men and most women, they're not going to understand that. Moving on. Men want more sex. Everyone's natural response to this is probably duh, but that response is probably for the wrong reason. We primarily assume that men want more sex with their wives due to their physical wiring, their needs. But surprisingly, Shantui Felderon's research showed that the reason men want more sex is because of their strong need to be desired by their wives. Men simply need to be wanted. Regular, fulfilling sex is critical to a man's sense of feeling loved and desired. I would agree with that, okay? But it's just not going to happen in this day and age. So this is why I even suggest to the MGTOW men that being in command of yourself in the social situation, not being a slave to women and their approval, is a very empowering state for a man to be in. And guess what? Women find this very attractive. And it's very nice to interact with somebody, in this manner. So, MGTOW. Moving on. Number 6. Sex means more than sex. When men feel their wives desire them sexually, it has a profound effect on the rest of their lives. It gives them an increasing sense of confidence and well-being that carries over into every other area of his life. The flip side of this coin also carries a profoundly negative effect. When a husband feels rejected sexually, he not only feels his wife is rejecting him physically, but that she is somehow rejecting his life as a husband, provider, and man. This is why making sex is a priority in marriage. This is why making sex a priority in marriage is so incredibly important. There you go. The sex is an indicator of the emotional state. Okay? And if you don't mind, I would like to just say that the approval that the men are met with in general in society, is also one of these indicators. And it is what's driving male behavior. In other words, if you'll treat men with dignity and respect and show some admiration, then they will sacrifice a great deal for you. But if you shame them and belittle them and try to guilt them into providing resources and sacrificing, they will resent you and things will come apart all around you. Moving on. Number 7, men struggle with visual temptation. You think? This means the vast majority of men respond to visual images when it comes to women. And this doesn't just mean the guys with wandering eyes. Even the most godly husband cannot avoid noticing a woman who dresses in a way that draws attention to her body. Even if it is just a glance, these visual images are stored away in the male brain as a sort of visual Rolodex that will reappear without any warning. Men can choose whether to dwell on these images and memories or dismiss them, but they cannot control when these images appear. It's true. We are visual creatures. What's more true is that women who misuse sexuality have a lot of power over men. If women use sexuality in a responsible way, men generally won't be distracted. Women are intentionally distracting men visually, okay? That's what the makeup is. That's what the dressing is. That's what the perfume is. It's to make the women look as if they are in a sexually viable state every day out of the month. So, come on. It's sad. It really is that the women behave in this manner and they don't even admit it. Moving on. Number 8, men enjoy romance but doubt their skills to be romantic. Gee, I wonder why. Because the women are so, aggressive and hostile towards the men just to gain, actual social advantage. The women have destroyed the personal relationship, sexuality with men for social and political gain. So, there you go. And it was unfair to take advantage of the men in this manner because the men wanted to provide and be of service to the women, and then the women started to cry. But they were lying about how much money they were getting paid. The gender pay gap is a function of the averaging. It's not comparing men and women in the same job with the same skill set. So it's very disingenuous. Moving on. Continuing on. True, many men appear to be unromantic clods, but it doesn't mean that they want to be that way. Men want to be romantic, but they just doubt their ability to pull it off. They are plagued by internal hesitations, perceiving the risk of humiliation and failure as too high. Wives can do a great deal to increase their husband's confidence in their romantic skills through encouragement and redefining what romance looks like. For example, a wife may balk when her husband asks her to go along to the hardware store, but it's likely that he's asking because he sees it as time they can get away as a couple and hang out together. What's not romantic about that? Okay, well, that might not be too romantic, but it is time together, and that's nice. Continuing. Number 9, men care about their wife's appearance. This isn't saying all men want their wives to look like the latest supermodel. What men really want is to know that their wives are making an effort to take care of themselves and not letting themselves go, because it matters to them, the husbands. Husbands appreciate the efforts their wives make to maintain their attractiveness. Number 10, men want their wives to know how much they love them. This was the number one response of men. Men aren't confident in their ability to express this, but they love their wives dearly. Men want to show how much they love their wives and long for them to understand this fact. Okay, there you go. Well, I thought that was a great article, and I thought that it is a very sincere representation of men's desires and needs in their relationships with women. And I also think that it illustrates men's relationship with society and culture at large. In other words, much of the things that the husband needs from the wife to be a good husband, men in general need from society and culture in order to fulfill their role as men. But they're not getting it. They're getting shamed. They're getting abused. They're being lied to. They're being lied about. And this is causing even more problems. So I've got another article that is based on this article, but I don't have enough time to read it right now. So let me know what you think about this article in the comments section below. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. And join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.